Okay, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's a meeting of Senate Rules. We have a very short agenda this morning. I just want to welcome Senator Clarkson and her counterpart, the Minority Leader, Senator Brock, and her whip, Senator Hooker, back into the chamber. It's really great to see you. And Senator Mazza, thanks for zooming in. We are talking about an issue of timing related to the pension bill, the number being, Secretary Bloomer?
Doesn't have a number.
That's right, committee bill, thank you. So initially we had anticipated it would be out of committee by a particular date. And as everybody knows, there was a lot of work that needed to happen with Joint Fiscal and the Treasurer's Office. And so it did not meet the deadline. So as Senate rules, we essentially need to give it an extension. And so, John, would you mind giving us just a little bit more background on the rules so people understand why this is?
Under the Senate rules, bills the second year of a biennium have to be introduced, or as you know, individual bills have to be told to the Ledge Council by the beginning of December, have to be approved for printing, and then you can have co-sponsors up through the second Friday of the session. Committee bills can be introduced up through the end of January under the rules. That was actually modified a couple years ago. And what happened was Senator White came on behalf of the Government Operations Committee, discussed with your committee the potential of a pensions bill that would not make the deadline of January 31st. In that meeting, you all gave a 2-week extension, which ran out on Valentine's Day, the 14th. And in that sense, the bill was completed last week. We received notification that it was ready to be introduced. And that's why I contacted the pro tem, because under the rules and under the exemption that you had provided under the Senate rules, you needed to give it an additional extension, probably through this Friday, to make sure it's all done. Our expectation would be, if it's permitted to be introduced with the consent of the Rules Committee, it'll probably be done tomorrow, and then put on the notice calendar for Thursday.
Are there questions from the Rules Committee on this?
No, I think this would be great.
Great. So
we don't have our chair here from GovOps, but as a member of GovOps, I would say thank you for this consideration, and I would move that we extend.
Under the rules, it would be to consent to the introduction of the pension.
That we would
extend
the consent to the introduction of the pensions bill, whatever draft number it is, to Friday, the 11th of March.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Do we need a roll call?
No. I just, actually, Senator, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I'm just happy that it sounds well. This is our first time using this setup.
Yes.
And so I was just pleased that.
Yes, you're pleased it all went well. Is that what you're saying? Okay, good.
Senator Mazza vote. That's what
We could hear Senator Mazza vote.
We heard you vote.
Yes, wonderful. That's great. So the motion passes 5-0. That is the only agenda item, so we will adjourn.
Let me just raise just
of course
another issue, and we can raise it on the record or not.
Yes.
A couple things that I think we ought to think about with joint rules.
Yep.
One is regarding the mask mandate.
Yep.
There's new CDC guidance that basically removes masks in places that are low and medium risk, and my understanding is, as of right now, looking at the chart this morning, that Washington County is in a medium risk area, which means masking is not required. Chittenden and Franklin have been in the medium risk category from the very beginning of that CDC, and Lamoille is at the lowest risk category. Now, these things will change, but the question is, if the rest of the world doesn't have to be masked in these areas, why do we? And that's something that we should bring up on the record, I think, sooner rather than later. Schools are going mask-free on the 14th. And again, if it's not necessary, I'm not sure that we should be. And that should be dealt with, I think, by joint rules sooner rather than later, or by this chamber, because we can decide what we want to do in our spaces, although getting in and out of the building requires that broader view. So that's item one. The second item that I think we ought to talk about and think about at some point and do a little research on the background is the expense situation and the taxation of legislative expenses. Now, one member came to me last week and talked about the notion that when he stays up here, he stays to Capitol Plaza. And the Capitol Plaza reimburses at the same rate that we receive. But when those expenses are taxed, you lose money. And when we get expenses, it's designed simply to reimburse us for actual cost. The taxation of expenses for federal taxes alone means that you have a minimum of 6.5% loss. And frankly, members should not have to lose money in order to serve.
Thank
And
you.
that's something that we should look at a workaround or a gross up or something so that people aren't losing money by serving.
Thank you, Senator Brock. I really appreciate you raising both those concerns. I know the issue of the taxation of legislator expenses has been something we've wrestled with quite some time.
And there are workarounds to deal with it, but we just haven't done anything.
Right. And I absolutely agree with you. Nobody should be serving at a loss. So I will bring both these things up with the speaker. I think they are things that should be brought up with joint rules. Any other?
Can I just comment on Senator Brock's comments
course.
on mask mandates? Rutland and Bennington are still high risk. And
Okay.
I think, the fact that we come together as a state may enter into that. So I don't know how we finesse
calculate.
that, but just to make that clear that it isn't the entire state that's sort of out of the woods.
Sure, understood.
Yes, we bring our counties with us. When are we meeting as joint rules? Because now that we have,
I need to meet with, we don't have something on the books, so I'll meet with
Right.
The speaker and we can get something on the books.
terrific. And, okay, I don't think I have
All right.
anything further.
All right. Thank you.